Well, good morning. It is May the 4th, 2026, and straight from the Highly Caffeinated Studio, this is According to Willie B. And I want to ask you a question. Do you ever notice how some cities don't just feed you, that they actually change you? And I'm not talking about grabbing a bite to eat. I'm talking about that moment when you take a bite and everything goes quiet. You stop talking, you stop scrolling on your phone, you stop thinking, and you just go, wow, that's not food anymore. That is a destination. Tonight, we're not talking about restaurants, we're talking about cities. The cities that built their identity on flavor. The places where food isn't an option, it's the reason you booked the trip. So let's get into it because this is a top 10 food destinations in the United States. Let's go. Now, let me say this up front. This list, it's not just Michelin stars and white tablecloths. We're talking about street food, hole in the wall legends, local staples, culture on a plate, if you will. Because real food cities, they don't live in fancy dining rooms. They live on corners, in food trucks, in places that the menu hasn't changed in 30 years. And if you know, you know. So let's talk about the top 10. We're going to start with number 10, and this one might surprise you just a little. Let's start where people do not expect. Las Vegas. Now, I know what you're thinking. Vegas, that's buffets and bad decisions. You're mostly correct. You're also way behind because Vegas has quietly become quietly, word salad number one. Vegas has quietly become one of the most stacked food cities in America. Why? Because every major chef wants a piece of the strip. They want their name on the strip. They want their face on the strip. You know who you are. You've got high-end steakhouses, global cuisine from every corner of the world. And late night food, yeah, that actually hits. But here's the real secret. The best food in Vegas is off the strip. That's where the locals eat. And that's where the magic is. If you don't believe me, do a Google search. Just don't pick any place on the strip. Number 9, Miami, Florida. Now, Miami doesn't just serve food, it serves culture because there's a lot of blended culture in Miami. You've got Cuban, you've got Caribbean, you've got a Latin fusion. And that is bold flavor territory, let me tell you. We're talking pressed sandwiches with history, slow roasted pork that just melts in your mouth. They got coffee that will wake up your ancestors. I mean, it's like a wake-up call from life itself. Oh, and the energy and the seasoning that they use, yeah, wow. Let me tell you, they've got seasoning. They got seasoning that can stand on its own. And they don't play it safe because Miami doesn't whisper when it comes to food. It shouts. Number 8, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Now, you knew I was going to have this one in the list, but get this. Yes, it's Philly. Yeah, cheesesteaks. We get it. But if you think that that's all that Philly is, you're missing the whole story. Because Philly is Italian markets. And I'm talking old school Italian markets. Some Italian markets that have been there for generations. And they are absolutely a mecca of amazement to walk into one of these Italian markets. It's just, you could spend an hour, or at least I could. I could spend an hour in one of these Italian markets. Old school bakeries. I'm talking about making stuff that you've never heard of, but I promise you, one bite and you will never forget it. Because you're talking about generational recipes, recipes that have been handed down after time, after time, after time. This is a city where food has roots just as much as the people do. And let me say something controversial here. The best meals in Philly aren't always the famous ones. They're the ones that you just stumble into by accident. You're welcome. Number 7. Chicago, Illinois. Now, Chicago is a heavyweight. This city doesn't do small flavor. Everything is bigger, richer, deeper. Oh, yeah. Deep dish? Oh, yeah. They do it better than anybody on the planet. I don't care what country or city, state, I don't care what. When it comes to Chicago, deep dish reigns supreme, because they don't just elevate the dining scene. Dining in Chicago is by far one of the most impressive memory building activities you can do when it surrounds yourself in a culinary scene. Let me tell you. I mean, some of the food, if you go to Houston, Texas, a lot of the food that you will experience in Houston, you can find where it has Chicago roots because of that elevated dining scene. Neighborhood food culture. I mean, you're just talking culturistic food and dining experiences beyond your wildest imaginations. And there's some of the best chefs in the country in Chicago, because Chicago doesn't try to impress you. It just does. All right. Now, near and dear to my heart, and you're going to think I'm going to say Texas, but nope. New Orleans, Louisiana. So let the good times roll. So New Orleans, now, this is a food city to me. This is near and dear to my heart, because this isn't eating. This is an experience. You got gumbo, you got jambalaya, you got beignets. And it's not just what's on the plate. It's the feeling around it. I mean, add the music to the food, and man, it's a whole culturistic food extravaganza. Because with the music in the background, now you have history in every single bite. But let me tell you something about New Orleans. I always used to do, and I'm going to save you from it in this podcast, but I used to do, if you remember Justin Wilson, he was a famous Cajun comedian, although there wasn't a single Cajun bone in a man's body. But he had the accent down so perfectly, and he would always tell those stories. As a child growing up on road trips with my family, we listened to every single story that Justin Wilson ever told. They were on cassettes at that particular time. Yes, that was a long time ago. And I began to replicate that accent. Now, people would ask me when I spoke in the Cajun accent, they would say, "Oh, you're from Louisiana." I was like, "No, but all my daddy's people are," because that's just the way we talk. But I could replicate all of the stories by heart from memory that Justin Wilson ever told. And it's one of the coolest things that I've ever enjoyed doing. But I can tell you one thing, and this is for true. There are tree names for an alligator. Do you know what those tree names for an alligator are? I'm going to tell you. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Just go ahead and apologize now. I'm sorry. I don't know where that came from. But it's true. Alligator is one of my favorite things to eat. I don't know that I would want to wrestle one to get that meal away from him. But if you got it cooked up on the grill or in the fryer or in the stew, whatever, it doesn't matter. I'll eat it, Sheriff. All right, let's move on before I really embarrass myself. All right, but don't rush meals in New Orleans because you sit with them and you spend the time. Los Angeles, speaking of time, Los Angeles, California. These people don't have time. This place is chaos, but in the best way. You want variety? Nobody beats LA. I'm going to tell you something. Food trucks alone could carry the city of Los Angeles. I mean, and you're talking some crazy stuff. You're talking Korean barbecue. You're talking about street tacos that will change your life. And you're talking about a lot of different fusions that actually work. I've seen some fusions and I'll drive by and I see this different fusion and I'll go, what? I'm just like, no, that can't be good. Of course, I'm going to try it, but I'm just telling you, LA, they set the stage when it comes to Korean barbecue, street tacos, and fusion foods. I promise you they have got that going on because LA doesn't follow rules, and somehow that's exactly why it works. All right, now, my backyard, Austin, Texas. Now we're talking my roots. Texas, Austin, different animal. Because barbecue here isn't food. I've told you. It's a religion. Brisket done right, that's a spiritual experience, let me tell you. But Austin also brings creativity. And it does a very good job of food trucks and innovation. This city respects tradition, but it's not afraid to remix it. Austin, Texas has a very strong food culture and some of the best foods, not just barbecue. Now, let me rephrase this so that you understand what I'm saying. Austin, Texas, and the surrounding area. There's a lot of little towns around Austin, Texas that they almost are part of the puzzle when it comes to the barbecue scene. So we can't just say Austin proper. There's a lot of areas around Austin within, I would say, a 50 to 60 mile range of Austin that really kind of complete that whole barbecue picture. But Austin, Texas proper, their food scene, their culture of food scene is, I would say, unlike any other in the state of Texas. Because when you talk Austin, Texas, and their food scene, you're talking Houston, Texas, and I've mentioned Houston, but when you talk Houston, you're talking a very diverse food culture. You can get pretty much any kind of food that you want. But Austin kind of reins that in, and they're kind of known for their own personal food culture. So if you don't believe me, go try it out. You'll see what I'm talking about. Number 3, San Francisco, California. So San Francisco is precision. This is where food becomes art. Fresh ingredients, local sourcing, flavor balance. You taste intention in every bite. It's not loud food, it's smart food. But San Francisco is down there in the heart of the valley where fresh food is at their fingertips, almost basically year round. So that's why they're able to really bring out the precision art of putting a decorative dish out in front of you. But when you take a bite, that's where the intention comes in, and you're like, whoa, that hits differently. And that's because San Francisco is precision, and that's where food becomes art. All right, number 2. Let's see if the last 2 are going to surprise you. I think number 1 is definitely going to surprise everybody. Number 2, and you know I had to put this one in there. New York City, New York. Now, New York, let's be real. You could eat somewhere different every single day for years and never run out of a new place to eat. It's Crazy. But pizza, bagels, fine dining, street carts. I mean, Like I told you, you got everything from, you want a hot dog out from a street cart, go get it. But you want pizza, bagel, that's fine. You want an elevated dining experience? Oh man, there are some places in New York that just will. When I talk about a wow experience at a restaurant, let me tell you, New York takes a wow experiences and says, yeah, but we could actually elevate that. And they do over and over and over again. They have a lot of that Chicago intensity when it comes to uh, dining out, and it shows because the city doesn't sleep, and neither does the food scene there. All right, here we go. Number one. Are you ready? You sitting down? Because here it goes. Charleston, South Carolina. So this number one might surprise some people, but let me break it down for you. Charleston, South Carolina. This is where tradition meets excellence. Southern cooking, but elevated. Shrimp and grits, fried chicken, seafood, but done with care and done with pride. Charleston doesn't chase trends, it perfects what already works, i.e., the shrimp and grits, the fried chicken, the seafood. When you can take something as simple as fried chicken and become known for that, that is when you elevate a food experience. I can tell you that there are 23 locations, 23 in Charleston, South Carolina, that I have right here in front of me on my desk that are slated to be recorded on Culinary Highway between now and the end of 2027. That's how far out we are putting these things down. It is crazy. But Charleston, South Carolina, I don't know what you got going on down there, but we aim to find out because it is going to be a food scene like no other. We are hoping to film multiple episodes in one trip down there, but it's going to take a minimum of 5 trips to film all the locations that are slated, because there are places that are that good. They must be highlighted on Culinary Highway. They must have that arena to show off they're doing what already works. They're taking the simplicity of fried chicken and elevating that. And that needs to be highlighted. So here's the truth. The best food destinations, they're not just about what you eat. They're about how you feel while you're eating it. The people, the culture, and the story behind the plate. And that's what makes a city unforgettable. Do you think I will ever, regardless of the Statue of Liberty, anything, Times Square, yes, I will always remember that stuff. But when someone walks up and says, hey, I haven't seen you since you've been to New York. What did you think of New York? Let me tell you about Enoteca Maria over on Staten Island. That was the most amazing Italian food I've ever had in my life. Hands down. And the experience was unlike anything that I'd ever had. So that's what makes that city unforgettable. I may not have a very clear memory in a few years of the Empire State Building or the Statue of Liberty, but I can promise you, Nana's meatballs and the Sunday gravy, I'm going to tell you right now, that is ingrained in my memory like nothing ever has before. So I'm just telling you straight up, the next time you plan a trip, don't just ask, where am I going? Ask, what am I about to taste? And I want to hear from you. What city would you put on this list? What spot in your life has changed the way you look at food? Drop it in the comments, because you already know if it's worth eating, it's worth talking about. And I'll see you again next week right here behind this big old mic. Don't forget to caffeinate and conquer, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.